On that night, when fear swallowed the hearts of thousands, when the enemy's footsteps shook the earth, one man stood firm. And with a single command from Allah, the impossible became real. But the miracle was not the sea. It was the faith that came before it. Because on that shore, trapped between the ocean and an army that wanted them dead, the children of Israel learned something that every believer must learn eventually. That the moment you think you've run out of options is the exact moment Allah shows you He was always in control. This is the story of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, a man who grew up in the palace of a tyrant, a man who made mistakes, a man who fled, a man who returned, and a man who stood at the edge of the Red Sea with nothing but trust in the one who created it. This is not just history. This is a lesson for your heart today. Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Now, why did Allah command Musa to walk into the impossible? What made the children of Israel doubt again and again, even after witnessing miracle after miracle? And what lesson does this ancient story hold for your life today? Right now, in whatever situation you're facing, what secret of tawakkul, of trust in Allah, did Musa carry in his heart that turned fear into victory, that transformed panic into peace, that made him the leader Allah chose to free an entire nation? Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll understand why every believer, including you, has their own Red Sea moment. Before the sea, before the staff, before the confrontations in Pharaoh's palace, there was a child, a mother, and a basket floating down a river. The story of Musa begins not with power, but with fear. His mother, living under a regime that slaughtered newborn boys, received a command from Allah that must have torn her heart apart. Place your baby in a basket and put him in the river. Imagine that moment. Imagine holding your newborn son, feeling his warmth, hearing his breath, and then being told to let him go into the water, into the unknown, with nothing but faith that Allah would protect him. She did it. And that basket drifted right into the hands of Pharaoh's household, the very tyrant who ordered the killing of Hebrew boys. But Allah had a plan that no human mind could have imagined. Musa grew up in the palace, raised with privilege, surrounded by luxury, yet his heart was never at home there. He saw the oppression. He saw his people, the children of Israel, enslaved and humiliated. And one day, when he saw an Egyptian man beating a Hebrew slave, Musa intervened. He struck the oppressor, and the man died. It was an accident, but it changed everything. Suddenly, Musa was a fugitive. The guilt weighed on him. The fear chased him. He fled Egypt and ended up in Madian, a stranger in a foreign land with nothing to his name. And there, at a well, he did what he always did. He helped those who couldn't help themselves. Two young women were struggling to water their flock, held back by aggressive shepherds. Musa stepped in, watered their animals, and then sat in the shade, exhausted and alone. He made a dua that day, a dua so raw and so honest that it should remind every one of us what real conversation with Allah sounds like. He said, "My Lord, indeed I am, for whatever good you would send down to me, in need." He didn't ask for wealth. He didn't ask for status. He just asked for whatever good Allah saw fit to send him, and Allah answered. One of those women came back, shy and respectful, and invited him to meet her father. That meeting led to work. That work led to marriage. That marriage led to stability. Musa, the fugitive, the man running from his past, found peace in Madian. He built a life. He started a family. And for years, he lived quietly, humbly, far from the chaos he left behind. But Allah was preparing him. Every hardship Musa faced, every mistake he made, every lonely night in the desert, it was all shaping him for what was coming. Because on one calm night, while traveling with his family, Musa saw a fire in the distance. He told his wife to wait and went toward it, thinking he might bring back some warmth or direction. But what he found was not a fire. It was a call, a voice, the voice of Allah. And in that moment, everything changed. That was the moment, the command that changed everything. Allah told Musa, go back to Egypt, go back to the place you fled, go back and stand before Pharaoh. the most powerful, the most arrogant, the cruelest ruler on earth, and tell him to let my people go. Imagine what Musa must have felt. This was the man he ran from. This was the place where he was wanted for killing someone. This was the system that enslaved his people for generations, and Allah was telling him to walk right back into it, with nothing but a staff in his hand and faith in his heart. Musa was honest with Allah. He said, "My Lord, I fear they will deny me, and my brother Harun, he is more eloquent than me. Send him with me." And Allah, in his mercy, granted that request. Musa returned to Egypt, not alone, but with his brother by his side and the knowledge that Allah himself was guiding every step. What happened next is known to every believer. Musa stood before Pharaoh. He performed miracles by Allah's permission. The staff became a serpent. His hand glowed with light. Plague after plague struck Egypt, each one a reminder of who truly held power. But Pharaoh's heart was hard. His arrogance blinded him. He refused to believe, refused to submit, refused to free the children of Israel. Until finally, after the last and most devastating plague, Pharaoh let them go. Or so it seemed. The children of Israel left Egypt in the darkness of night, thousands of them, men, women, children, elders, all moving together toward freedom. For the first time in generations, they were walking away from slavery. But freedom is not given, it is tested, and their test came quickly. They reached the Red Sea. The vast, deep, endless water stretched before them. There was no bridge, no boats, no way across, and then they heard it. The sound that shattered their hope, the thunder of hooves, the battle cries, the dust clouds rising in the distance. Pharaoh had changed his mind. He gathered his army, his chariots, his finest soldiers, and he chased them. And now the children of Israel were trapped. Water in front, army behind, death on every side. Panic spread like wildfire. People cried, people shouted. Some accused Musa of leading them to their doom. They said, "We are overtaken, we are finished." But Musa, this man who once fled in fear, who once doubted his own ability to speak, stood firm. He looked at the sea, he looked at the army, and then he looked up. Because he understood something they didn't. He understood that Allah does not bring you to the edge of impossibility to abandon you. He brings you there to show you that He was always enough. If you're still here, type Subhanallah, so I know you're with me until the end. Because what happens next is not just about a sea. It's about every moment in your life when you feel cornered, when you feel hopeless, when you feel like there's no way out. Keep watching. Some cried, some trembled, some accused Musa of leading them to their deaths. Imagine standing there, a parent holding your child's hand, hearing the army getting closer, seeing the water with no way to cross it, and feeling your heart race with the kind of fear that makes you forget everything you've ever believed. That was the moment of truth for the children of Israel. And it's the moment of truth that comes for every believer eventually. Because faith is easy when life is comfortable. Faith is easy when you have a job, when your family is healthy, when your bills are paid, when your future looks bright. But what happens when everything falls apart? What happens when the diagnosis comes back and it's not good? What happens when the person you loved walks away? What happens when you've tried everything and nothing has worked? What happens when you're standing at your own Red Sea, and behind you is everything you fear, and in front of you is nothing but the unknown? That's when faith is tested. That's when you find out what you really believe. And in that moment, Musa said words that have echoed through history, words that every believer should memorize, words that every heart should cling to when fear tries to take over. He said, "Kallā, never. Indeed, my Lord is with me. He will guide me. Not, maybe He'll help. Not, I hope He's listening. But He is with me. He will guide me." That is Tawakkul. That is trust. That is what it means to have faith when faith is all you have left. But here's the thing. Musa didn't just say those words to comfort the people. He said them because he believed them. He had seen Allah's plan unfold in his life before. He had been placed in a river as a baby and survived. He had been raised in Pharaoh's palace and protected. He had fled as a fugitive and found a home. He had been called in the desert and given a mission. Every step of his life, every twist, every fear, every uncertainty, Allah had been there. And now, standing at the Red Sea, Musa knew that this was no different. Allah had not brought them this far to let them drown. But the people didn't see it that way. They saw the water, they heard the army, they felt the fear. And that's the difference, isn't it? Musa saw Allah. They saw the obstacle. How many times do we do the same thing? How many times do we focus so much on the problem that we forget who created the solution? How many times do we look at our situation and think, this is impossible, without remembering that Allah is the one who makes the impossible happen? Every believer faces a sea. Every heart hears the footsteps of fear behind it. And every soul must choose, doubt or trust. The children of Israel doubted, even after seeing the plagues, even after witnessing Pharaoh's power crumble, even after walking out of Egypt as free people. They still doubted. And maybe that's the most human part of this story, because we do the same thing. We see Allah's mercy in our lives, we experience His help, we survive things we thought would destroy us, and then the next test comes and we panic all over again. We forget. We doubt. We question. And that's why this story matters. Because if the companions of a prophet, the people who saw miracles with their own eyes, struggled with faith in that moment, then it's okay that we struggle too. The point is not to be perfect. The point is to keep choosing trust, even when trust feels impossible. What would you have done in their place? Would you have stood firm like Musa, or would you have been among those who cried out in fear? Think about it, because your answer reveals where your heart is right now. And then, in that moment of ultimate desperation, Allah gave the command. He told Musa, "Strike the sea with your staff." That's it. No detailed plan. No step-by-step instructions. Just strike the sea. And Musa understood. He understood that Allah's help doesn't come early, and it never comes late. It comes exactly when it's supposed to. Not when we want it. Not when we think we need it. But when it's perfect. When it will have the maximum impact on our hearts. Musa raised his staff and struck the water. And what happened next defies all logic, all science, all human understanding. The sea split, not slowly, not partially, but completely. The water rose on both sides like walls, like mountains, standing firm and still by the command of the one who created it. And in between, a path appeared, dry land, solid ground, a road that no eye had ever seen, that no mind could have imagined, that no human could have created. The children of Israel stood there, stunned, because just moments before they thought they were finished. Just moments before, they were crying and panicking and ready to give up. And now, here was their escape. Here was the path. Here was the mercy of Allah, manifesting in a way that no one could deny. But here's the powerful part. The sea didn't split before they reached it. Allah could have parted it from a distance. He could have opened the path before they even got close. But He didn't. Because the lesson wasn't just about escape. The lesson was about trust. The lesson was about standing at the edge of impossibility and still believing. Musa had to walk toward the sea first. He had to take the staff in his hand and strike the water before it opened. That's the test. That's what tawakkul really means. It means taking the step even when you don't see the path. It means doing your part and trusting that Allah will do His. How many times have you waited for the door to open before you even knocked? How many times have you wanted the answer before you made the dua? How many times have you stood at your own sea, waiting for it to part, without ever raising your staff? Allah is teaching us something here. He's teaching us that faith requires action, that trust requires movement, that you have to walk toward the thing that scares you, knowing that He will make a way. The children of Israel walked into that path, thousands of them, men, women, children, elders, animals, all walking between walls of water that should have crushed them but didn't, because Allah held it. And as they walked, as they saw the water towering above them on both sides, as they felt the solid ground beneath their feet, something shifted in their hearts. This was real. This was not a coincidence. This was not luck. This was the hand of Allah, protecting them, guiding them, saving them in a way that only He could. She thought she was alone in her test. He thought Allah had forgotten him. The children of Israel thought destruction was certain, but Allah was guiding every step. They simply hadn't seen it yet. And that's the truth we all need to remember. When you're in the middle of your hardship, when you're struggling and confused and don't understand why this is happening to you, remember this: Allah sees you. He hasn't forgotten you. He's not testing you because He's abandoned you. He's testing you because He's preparing you. Because on the other side of that Red Sea, on the other side of that impossible situation, there's a version of you that's stronger, wiser, closer to Him than you've ever been before. And then came the final moment. Pharaoh and his army, blinded by arrogance, thought they could follow. They saw the path and assumed it was theirs too. They rode into the sea, chariots thundering, soldiers shouting, convinced that they would catch the children of Israel and drag them back into slavery. But the sea that opened for Musa was not meant for Pharaoh, because Allah's mercy has conditions. It's for those who believe. It's for those who submit. It's for those who turn to Him with humility. And Pharaoh, even at the edge of death, did not have that. The walls of water collapsed, the sea returned, and in an instant, the most powerful army in the world was gone. Pharaoh, the man who declared himself a god, who mocked Musa, who enslaved an entire nation, drowned. And as he sank beneath the waves, he finally uttered words of belief. But it was too late. His faith came only when he saw the punishment, only when he had no other choice. And Allah did not accept it. Because faith is not real when it's forced. Faith is real when you choose it in the moments of ease, in the moments of difficulty, in the moments when no one is watching and nothing is forcing your hand. That's when it counts. And in that moment, Allah taught humanity a lesson that would echo until the end of time. Faith is not believing when escape is visible. Faith is walking into the sea before it parts. This is the core of Tawakkul. This is what it means to truly trust Allah. It's not about waiting for everything to be perfect before you take a step. It's not about demanding proof before you believe. It's about moving forward even when you can't see the end, even when the path isn't clear, even when fear is whispering in your ear that you won't make it. Because Allah doesn't ask you to see the entire staircase. He just asks you to take the first step. And when you do, when you put your trust in Him and move forward, despite the fear, that's when He opens the doors you didn't even know existed. That's when He makes a way out of no way. That's when the sea parts. Every test is a sign, not of abandonment, but of Allah's love. Because He doesn't test the people He doesn't care about. He tests the ones He's preparing for something greater. He tests the ones whose hearts He wants to purify. He tests the ones He's molding into better versions of themselves. And every believer has a Red Sea. Maybe yours is a failing marriage and you don't know how to fix it. Maybe yours is a financial struggle that feels like it's drowning you. Maybe yours is a health issue that's stealing your peace. Maybe yours is a decision you have to make and every option feels wrong. Maybe yours is a loss you're still grieving. A mistake you can't forgive yourself for, a dream that feels impossible. Whatever your Red Sea is, Remember this story. Remember Musa standing at the edge with nothing but faith. Remember the people panicking behind him and the army closing in. Remember the moment he raised his staff and trusted that Allah would do what he promised. Because he did, and he will for you too. The help of Allah doesn't come early, and it never comes late. It comes exactly when your heart needs it most. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't think that because you can't see the way out, there isn't one. Allah is preparing your path right now. He's holding back the walls of water that could crush you. He's making a road where there was none. All he's asking from you is to keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing, because the moment you think you've run out of options is the exact moment he's about to show you that he was always in control. That's the story of the Red Sea. That's the story of Musa. And that's the story Allah wants you to remember the next time fear tries to convince you that it's over. It's not over. It's just beginning. So let me ask you, what lesson did this story leave in your heart? Have you ever experienced a moment where you thought everything was falling apart, only to look back later and realize that Allah was guiding you the entire time? Have you ever seen His wisdom after a hardship, when the pieces finally came together and you understood why it had to happen the way it did? Which moment in this story touched you the most? Was it Musa's unwavering faith at the edge of the sea? Was it the mother placing her baby in the river? Was it the walls of water standing firm? Or was it the realization that every test is actually a gift in disguise? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us your story. Because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this story reminded you of something important, if it strengthened your faith even a little bit, then share it. Send it to someone who's standing at their own Red Sea right now. Someone who needs to be reminded that Allah has not forgotten them. Someone who needs to hear that the help is coming. Subscribe to Modern Muslim Stories for more Islamic stories that uplift the heart, strengthen the soul, and bring you closer to Allah. Because every story we share is a reminder that you are not alone in your struggles, a reminder that Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes, a reminder that no matter how impossible your situation looks, He is able to change it in an instant. Until next time, remember, your Red Sea will part. You just have to keep walking.